Welcome to A.U.M Ask Us Marketing. I'm your host, Callie Fedosinko of Callie Collective, a digital marketing agency designed to build relationships between financial advisors and their target audience through data-driven content, websites, and advertising. You can learn more about us at the QR code below my face. Our episode today is brought to you by the Financial Planning Association, otherwise known as the FPA. The FPA is a great resource center providing education, support, and networking opportunities for financial advisors like you. And if you've been joining us every week, you know that they have an amazing conference coming up in September where you can meet me in the vendor hall. If you are going, please comment and tag me. I'd love to see you when I'm there. Have you ever been a little lost on creating a brand that really reflects you and what you believe? Something that shows your philosophy and values, but also resonates with your target audience and is memorable? Our next guest not only incorporated his love for triathlons, but he built his entire brand around the techniques used in marathons. We're going to talk to him about how he made this decision, the reactions he's received, and how it's helped him grow his A.U.M. Please welcome with me Ari Baum of Endurance Wealth Partners. Welcome, Ari. How are you today?
Hey, I'm doing great. How you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. Ari, you've built Endurance Wealth Partners as a reflection of your passion for triathlons. And we were just talking a little bit about it. Can you tell us about that? Like, how did this come to be?
So many years ago, actually
Mhm.
about 13 years ago, I was driving on a Sunday to go meet a client.
Mm.
I was at an age, still am, that many of us put clients first
Yeah.
and we meet with them where they are and when they can. And I was in my car driving on the West Side Highway, stuck in traffic. It
Mm.
was maybe like 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning. And this was just before the iPhone stage.
Okay, yeah.
So I had to turn on the radio to be like, what's up with all this traffic? And I'm there. And then all of a sudden, they're like, New York City is closed for a race.
Mhm.
And in my Wall Street centric universe, I'm like, New York City is the financial capital of the world. Who the heck closes New York City for a race?
Yeah,
You
right.
know, let alone I didn't even know about the New York City Marathon back then to show
Yeah.
you how out of tune I was with everything. And then all of a sudden they said, you know, the West Side Highway is closed because of the New York City Triathlon.
Mm.
And I said, triathlon? I said, I remember watching, Ironman as a
Yeah.
kid when, these Greek godlike figures were swimming, biking, and running.
Mhm.
And there I was a borderline potbelly. I'm going to do this race next year.
Yeah.
And that race changed my life. You know,
Mm.
I went from thinking about my universe was Wall Street,
Yeah.
family, Wall
Right.
Street, family. It was the market, like that was my life. I
Yeah.
loved Wall Street, passionate like many other financial advisors, but that
Yeah.
was my universe.
Right.
And, I ended up doing the race
Mhm.
and it changed my mindset
Mm.
from life is all about money
Mhm.
to what's the point of having money if you're not healthy enough to enjoy it?
Mm.
So
Mhm.
combining health and wealth became a central theme for Endurance Wealth
Right.
Partners.
Right. Okay. So that's crazy that it was just you heard it on the radio. I mean, you didn't even see people running, did you?
I couldn't even make it up. The highway was closed. No,
Yeah. Wow.
I think it was
Uh,
better.
so have you always been Endurance Wealth Partners then?
So interestingly enough, my career on Wall Street, like many others, I
Mhm.
started working at all the big banks and wirehouses,
Mhm.
and it was always about their brand,
Right.
and what they wanted. It was bull and bear,
Yep.
right? And I always said to myself, you know, there's more than just bull and bear.
Mhm.
There's more to life than just making money in the market.
Yeah.
And I started Endurance World Partners. It'll actually be my 10-year anniversary is coming up this November. So
Congratulations.
Thank you. So in November, I could say that I'm the 10-year overnight success. Uh,
I like that.
and, and I went through a naming process for the firm,
Yeah.
and I knew I wanted endurance.
Mm.
And I said to myself, just like you have to endure through a marathon or a
Mhm.
triathlon, you have to endure through the markets.
Right.
There are good days, there are bad days. Just like when you're running when you're running in a marathon, there are
Yeah.
good miles and there are challenging miles. There are uphills and downhills.
Yeah.
So all that kind of came together, and I said Endurance Wealth Partners is who I am and what we do, and clients
Mm.
really resonate with it.
So were you like with a wirehouse prior to starting? Okay, got it.
Yes, yes. So,
Um,
so my no,
yeah,
I
go
was gonna
ahead.
say no, I was saying my tour of duty spans, Morgan Stanley,
Yeah,
UBS, JP Morgan, the trading floor of the American Stock Exchange, going all the way back to like college and high school where I was at like investment
right.
centers and trading houses. So I was very fortunate to get into this career at a young age. I saw the
Mhm.
different sides of the business, from trading to being a stockbroker, a financial advisor, to ultimately a wealth manager and
Yeah,
personal CFO for clients.
yeah. Okay, so you went off, started Endurance Wealth Partners.
Mhm.
So you didn't really have a brand prior. It was like all new, right?
From scratch.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say sometimes the best thing to do is not know what you're doing and you kind of figure it out as you go.
Yep.
You know,
Yeah.
what I knew when I started the company was a few themes.
Yeah.
It's clients first,
Mhm.
always, where I'm sitting on the same side of the table and there's never any pressure or product that you're trying to promote.
Mm.
And I said, how can I be different than everybody else?
Yeah.
Because everyone's saying, yeah, I'm going to do your financial plan and your estate
Yep.
planning and your investments and your 529 and all that stuff.
Right.
Great. In the sea of sameness, everyone is saying the same thing. And I said,
Mhm.
how can I stand out?
Mhm.
And the way I stand out is, and this really kicked up during COVID time,
Mhm.
instead of only having meetings in the boardroom during COVID, I went on walks with clients. We went
Mhm.
biking together. We would go swimming together and running together. And I saw the difference that it made in their lives because, I say this often, what's the point of having money if you're not healthy enough to enjoy it?
Right.
Work till you're 65 or 70,
Yeah.
then what? You have a very small window to do things. You don't see many 90-year-olds climbing the pyramids of Giza. So, you have that window, you got to take full advantage. And
Yeah.
if you're not healthy enough to do it, then what was the point of killing yourself at work?
Mhm. Mhm. Absolutely. So how else have you incorporated this passion and these values beyond the name?
Mhm. So, there's a few different ways that I do this.
Yeah.
One is actually, I'll share a pic. I actually made a race kit that I
Mm.
wear in my races. And in that, it embodies my four truths. I
Yeah.
have my kids' initials,
Mhm.
Jennifer, Eli, Michelle, and Sammy, GEMS, as I call
Yeah.
them. They're on my kit to represent family because it's family first and always. I have Endurance Wealth Partners across my chest,
Mhm.
along with some strategic partners such as Pareto Systems and NASDAQ and Prospera to represent, the work component. Then I have the fitness component with Mauna, which is like the triathlon team that I'm part of.
Okay.
And it's a community of like-minded athletes. We're not
Mm.
professionals.
Mhm.
We're all family. I joke and I say pros have it easy. It's eat, sleep, and train. You
Yeah.
know, we eat, sleep, train, work, carpool, grocery shopping, laundry, all that stuff in
Uh-huh.
between. So it's great to have a community like that.
Yeah.
And then the fourth part is I love making impact.
Mm.
There's an expression, in order to deserve, you have to serve. So I love giving back to community.
Right.
So there's a few nonprofits and I wear their logos on my jersey. So when I'm tired,
Mm. Mhm.
I'm reminded of, one organization is called The Next Step,
Mhm.
where we help amputees that are suffering from limb loss,
Mm.
not just thrive, I'm sorry, not just survive, but to thrive
Yeah. Yeah.
by biking with them and swimming with them and running with them,
Mhm.
as well as another nonprofit called SBH, where we lift people up when life tries to knock them down.
Yeah.
And, putting that all together, it embodies that race kit. So I feel kind of like Clark, Superman from Clark Kent. And that really resonates with clients, and clients see that same discipline that you have, in training and racing, and it carries over into planning because they know that Ari and his team are not going to drop the ball. Because if
Right.
they could suffer through 26.2 miles in a marathon, they could handle, a
Right.
market correction or a market crash.
Yeah. I think it was before we got on, before we went live, you had mentioned something about how your heart, that's what it was. You're talking about how you went in for the
Uh,
test and then your heart over 3 years had done like so much better. And it was, what stuck out to me is that you said it was the consistency. And I feel like that also plays in so perfectly with,
yes.
the training and also the saving for your clients and being consistent in how they actively are saving and investing and etc.
It goes hand in hand.
Yeah.
It's, Aristotle said excellence is a habit, and you are
Mhm.
what you repeatedly do. One of the things that I've learned
Mhm.
through training and racing that's, easily transferable over into investing
Mhm.
is, you know, just for the audience, the quick thing was
Yeah.
when I did the New York City Triathlon for the first time,
Yeah.
I didn't know how to swim. I didn't own
Wait,
a bike.
what?
I
You
didn't know
didn't?
how to, you know,
That's
like,
crazy. You
did
also
not
not you had to like train, but you had to learn.
learn. Yes, I like, as a kid in a pool, yeah, I could splash around, but I could
Right.
not swim laps. I wasn't like a
Yeah.
kid in, high school swimming. I literally had learned how to swim by watching YouTube videos,
Wow. That's how
and
I learned how to parallel park.
that's awesome. That's awesome. So I learned how to swim by watching YouTube videos
Mhm.
and learning the technique and the form. And I was horrible. I
Yeah.
mean, like horrible for like months and months.
Right.
And then one day the body started clicking because I was
Mhm.
consistent with it. I did not own a bicycle. I had to buy a bike to start training for a triathlon.
Right.
And literally running, I did not know 6-minute mile, 8-minute mile, didn't know anything.
Yeah.
I was running in like a pair of basketball shoes, before the universe of running sneakers, was introduced to me.
Right.
And I'll never forget this because a couple weeks before the race,
Mhm.
my wife said to me, she's like, honey, I'm so proud of you. You're taking
Mhm.
control of your health. You're trying to be healthy for us and this and that. It's making you better and all that. She goes, but I have one concern.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I know, honey, I'm worried about swimming in the Hudson River as well, but they say it's safe. She's like, I hope you make it out of the Hudson without an extra like arm or a leg, but
Right.
I'm worried that your heart might just explode from all this activity.
Right.
So I said, being a good financial advisor,
Mhm.
the shoemaker wears his shoes. I took out a life insurance policy on myself,
Yep.
but I also went to go do what's called the VO2 max test. So they
Mhm.
put this mask on your face and they make you run on a treadmill till exhaustion. And I'll never forget what they told me after the results.
Yeah.
Results were, Ari, like your Olympic athletes are like up here. They're like 100 out of 100.
Mhm.
Professional triathletes are, let's say, like a 90 out of 100. Your age elite are, let's say, 75. Your average is a 50. You're like down here in like the 20. He
Yeah.
goes, your heart won't explode. I said, yes. But you're going to finish towards the back of the pack.
Right.
I said, will I still get a medal? And he's like, yes. I said, let's do it. I'm game on.
Yeah.
So I did it.
Mhm.
And I stuck with the training.
Yeah.
And this is one of the examples that I say to my kids,
Mhm.
hard work beats talent,
Mm. Mhm.
and I won't even say when talent stops working.
Mhm.
LeBron James has talent, but no one works harder than him. Michael
Right.
Jordan, Kobe Bryant, no, it's not
Right.
like they wake up and suddenly they do it. They work harder than most everybody else.
Yeah.
And I stuck with the consistency of swimming, biking, running, one day.
Mhm.
One day
Mhm.
at a time, small distances. I didn't go running 20 miles. I started
Right.
quarter mile, half a mile, one, slowly, and just let it build on itself, just like savings. Like
Mhm.
you can't save 10 grand a month if you can't save $1 a month.
Right.
So just start small. You got to start wherever you are.
Yeah.
Like I tell people, it's not about the dollar amount, it's about the actual action of savings.
Mm-hmm.
You know, here, I'll give a little side note and a little
Yeah.
tip to the audience.
Yeah.
So this was probably the easiest thing that you could do. So in the Baum household, like
Mm-hmm.
many households, we have cable or, maybe at satellite or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
Somewhere along the way, especially the kids, we picked up
Disney.
Disney, HBO, Netflix, Hulu, and all these other
Oh
channels.
yeah.
And then I'm like, I still have cable, but no one's watching cable TV.
Right.
We have a landline and no one uses the landline.
Yeah. Right.
So, I spoke with my wife and said, I'm cutting the cord, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm no more cable TV.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, okay, no problem. And then I said, we're also getting rid of the phone line. She's like, but that was our phone number when we first got married. She's like, doesn't this number have any meaning to you?
No.
I'm like, not at $30 a month.
Yeah.
So I cut those two bills. It saved like $60 a month. And I said, instead of just cutting the bill,
Mm-hmm.
I said, let me be purposeful. Let me take that money and set
Mm.
up an automatic savings into an
Yeah.
account.
Right. You're
And,
already used to that
'cause-
money not being there.
exactly. And
Yeah.
just started doing that. Then 60, then found another bill I can cut out.
Mm.
75, and then 100, and then 150. And then it just builds on itself. I call it
Yeah.
RE saves.
Yeah.
But it builds on itself because we have lifestyle creep. There's always
Yep.
additional expenses or we
Yep.
make more money. But if you can be purpose, you get a raise at work, great.
Mm-hmm.
You get an extra $2,000, $5,000, whatever it is, take a couple $100,
Yeah.
throw it into an account. It adds up over time.
Right.
So I did that. And I learned this through triathlon by making incremental steps. So I
Right.
started with the New York City Triathlon,
Mm-hmm.
which was a 9/10 of a mile swim
Mm-hmm.
and a 24.8 mile bike and a 6.2 mile run.
Mm-hmm.
And over the years, I was able to build up to doing the Ironman,
Mm-hmm.
which is a 2.4 mile swim,
Mm.
followed by a 112 mile bike, followed by an actual marathon of 26.2 miles, all in one day.
Mm-hmm.
And it started because I started small and built up.
Yeah.
And it was the same thing with my heart, where my coach at the time was like, are you going to be down here?
Mm-hmm.
When we did that same exact test,
Yeah.
3 years later, he said, Ari, I would swear you have a new heart because of the work that you've done.
Right.
In years, your heart literally changed.
Yeah.
So, and I tell you, if I can do it, anybody can do it. Literally, anybody. I promise you, anybody can do it.
I should have asked for some before pictures so we could do like before and after.
You know what? I was just thinking that too. It's amazing, and you know what? It gives you clarity. It's a
Mm-hmm.
great way to de-stress.
Mm-hmm.
It's a healthy avenue. I joke around and I say, because I'm doing this, the temptation to drink, smoke, or gamble are out the window.
Mm.
The
Yeah.
healthy vice is swim, bike, run.
Yeah.
It carries over with clients because you have more energy for them.
Yeah.
And because you're so structured with your time,
Mm-hmm.
you're able to do so much more for them.
Right.
And you could really make an impact on their lives because they say the same thing. You
Yeah.
can do it. I can
Right.
do it.
Right. So, okay, the next thing is running that first triathlon had like this profound impact on your life in general. And I can't remember if it was the brand or something else. And you're like, I think it's good if you start out and you don't really know what you're doing and then you learn as you go. What do you think about a new advisor who's just starting out? They're opening their first firm. How would you encourage them to find something to build their brand around? Because maybe they haven't had that life experience yet,
Sign up for the New York City Marathon, and then you'll find a brand, or you'll find religion somewhere in between at like mile 24. Like, God, get me through this.
Yeah.
I would say this for anyone out there that's starting, or maybe someone that's existing and is thinking about standing out.
Mm-hmm.
Think to what speaks to you. What is your passion? For some people, it's family.
Mm-hmm.
And you can build a brand around family. And I think that resonates with a lot of people. Like in a lot of my videos,
Yeah.
I talk about family. You know,
Right.
I'll never forget this because you mentioned before
Yeah.
you learned how to parallel park by watching a video,
Yeah.
and I'll never forget this. And I speak about this in one of my videos
Mhm.
about how when I took my daughter driving for the first time,
Mm.
her very first question to me was, "Okay, Dad, which is the gas and which is the pedal, which is the brake?" And I was like,
Yeah.
I'm like, wait, like maybe you should watch a YouTube video first before, just know which is which. And
Mhm.
it was scary, right?
Yeah.
Getting
Yeah.
in a car with any teenager is scary, but and it's
100%.
just and it's just like financial planning. It can be scary because it's new to us,
Mhm.
but you have to start. So I'll tell people, look kind of within what
Mhm.
speaks to you. Maybe you were into sports when you were in high school or college.
Right.
Maybe you love to travel and make your whole brand about exploring the world and
Mhm.
seeing the world. You know,
Yeah.
what's the point of working hard if you can't go to Machu Picchu or the pyramids
Mhm.
of Giza or Monaco, whatever it
Right.
may be, or the African plains. You can start by looking as to what speaks to you.
Mhm.
If it's family, if it's travel, if it's sport, maybe it's a hobby, maybe you love to paint. You
Mhm.
know,
Mhm.
because when it comes from within, it's authentic
Mhm.
and you could speak to it with
Right.
passion. And it's that passion that'll help you lead, the technical aspects you can get from Google or ChatGPT probably now.
Right. Yeah.
But but the passion of what you have comes from
Mhm.
what you love to do.
Mm.
And I tell people, like, when people say I want to be like you and do triathlons or
Yeah.
marathons, I say, you know what? Don't do what I do because you see me doing it. Do
Do
what
what
you
you
like to
do.
do.
Mm.
Like if you're
Mhm.
into fishing, like my brother-in-law loves fishing,
Yeah.
make it about fishing.
Right.
If you like gardening, make it about gardening.
Yeah.
There's a reason why you get up every morning, and it's not just work.
Mhm.
Explore that.
Mhm. So, have you found prospects and clients um uh through triathloning? What do I call it?
Yeah, yeah. I will say, well, you know what? When you're doing a marathon and you're next to me for 26.2 miles, that stuff on your mind, you're going to find things to talk about.
Yeah.
I could tell you, yes, I definitely have, because what happens is that in the sport of triathlon, whether it's
Mhm.
swimming, biking, running, you find communities.
Yeah.
Much like if you're into any type of activity, there are communities and people that do it. And you
Absolutely.
kind of get attracted to those crowds and like-minded individuals. So
Mhm.
what I would say is you find that, and what happens is that people tend to look at you. Okay,
Mm.
hey, is Ari seeming trustworthy?
Yeah.
Is he technically savvy in what he's talking about? Does his strategies make sense? Is he a kind of person that I want to spend time with in a meeting?
Right. Right.
So yeah, if we could talk about triathlons and marathons and biking. Yeah,
Mhm.
we're going to have that connection. So it definitely leads to new clients.
Mhm.
But I'll also say I have many aspiring athletes
Yeah.
that come to me
Right.
because, like clients that say, hey, you know what? I don't do anything, but I respect the fact that you do it.
Mm.
And
Right.
if you have that discipline to do it, you must be good in your profession also. And
Mhm.
then my hope
Mhm.
is that I do inspire them or motivate them where maybe they go for a walk,
Mhm.
maybe they hop on a bike and they go for a little bit of a spin. Because again, to me, health and wealth go
Yeah.
hand in hand.
Yeah. Absolutely. Um okay, we've already gone over some of the questions I had written down here. So you've found, you find that connection with people in the group and who are also interested in it. Um, have you had any clients respond negatively?
um, I'll tell you a funny story.
Yeah, I love funny stories.
So, okay. So I would say this. So I have a client,
Mhm,
retired lawyer,
mhm.
who was, little overweight.
Yeah,
I don't judge. And I
yeah,
never preach. I don't do any of that stuff,
right.
And, he said to me, like one day, he goes, Ari, I see your posts on LinkedIn and your YouTube and all that stuff. He goes, I used to be like you. When I was in high school, I was a lifeguard, and in college, I was a swimmer. He
Mhm.
goes, I know you can't tell by looking at me now, but
Mhm.
I used to do that. He goes, but you don't realize, over the years, you gain 2 pounds here, 3 pounds
Mhm.
there.
Mhm.
It compounds the other way.
Mhm.
And he goes, you kind of get to where I am now. And he's like, you know, I appreciate what you do, but you know what? I'm kind of set in my ways,
Yeah.
And the sad part was he was a very successful lawyer,
Mhm.
accumulated a lot of wealth through his years in his practice. But it's like he had a hard time moving around.
Mm.
And he was spending money on going to doctors and procedures. And,
Yeah.
I didn't say this to him, but I'm like, what was the point? You did all that work.
Mhm.
Okay, you made money. You can't
Right.
take it with you.
Yeah.
What was the point?
Right.
So I actually invited him. I said, you know what? I said, I'm going to call him Clark for the purpose of
Mhm.
this conversation to maintain privacy.
Sure.
I'm going to say, Clark, you're coming with me to my gym.
Yeah.
He goes, all right, what are you talking about? I said, you're going to come with me to my gym. He goes, what
Mhm.
do you mean? I'm like, they have a pool there. We're going to go for a swim together.
Mm.
He goes, and I goes, and I'm inviting you because I know they'll give you a free pass for a week because I know you're cheap. Even though you will be, you're very cheap, like
Yeah.
multiple people are. They'll give
Right.
you a free pass. You come for a week with me. We're going to get in the pool together. So he goes to me, he goes, all right, I'll come with you. He goes, but
Mm.
if you make fun of me in my bathing suit, you're fired. I said, I would never,
Heal.
never, ever. So we got in the pool together,
Yeah.
swimming around. He's moving around a little bit, this, that. And the thing about swimming is that swimming is all about form. It's
Mm.
not really about muscle.
Mhm.
It's a technique. And if you know the technique, you can glide through the water.
Yeah.
So he said to me, he goes, Ari, let's have a race. I'm like, what? I'm like, I said, with all due respect, no, we're just here to move around, just kind of get you back
Yeah.
in the water again. This, that. He goes, no. He's like, I'm not talking laps. I'm not talking 100 yards,
Mhm.
right? We're just going to go 25 yards from one end of the pool to the other end of the pool. Let's race. And he goes, but if you hold back, I'll know, and I'm going to fire you. I'm like, you're a little too quick to wanting to fire me. First thing
Right.
he goes, but I could tell you that he actually did beat me, not
Mm.
by much, but he
Mhm.
beat me. You know, his words, not mine.
Yeah.
Don't mean to offend anybody. He goes, I'm like a whale through water. So he was swimming through and he was gliding like a fish through the water. He almost had a heart attack by the time he got to the other end of it because he was out of breath. But it was such a great experience because it lit a spark in him.
Mm.
And then he kept going back to the gym,
Mhm.
kept going back to the pool. And he said, look, I'm not going to be, Mitch Buchanan from Baywatch,
Right.
back in, but it got him going. And he's
Yeah.
swimming now more frequently and he's consistent with it. And, slowly but surely, he's kind of getting his health back.
Mm.
And he said to me, he goes, Ari, you know what I love working with you? I said, the money you're making? He goes, no. He goes, you gave me, you added years to my life.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was so rewarding than to be like, oh, Warren Buffett, I beat the S&P 500. No, it's
Right.
added years to someone's life. He's like, my
Yeah.
grandkids are going to thank me for this one day.
Right.
So when you have impact on someone's
Mhm.
life like that, you're doing something special.
Right. That's amazing. My last question, which doesn't seem as relevant now, is going to be, how has your brand helped grow your AUM?
So I would tell you it resonates with a certain type of person,
Yeah.
right? And what happens is that it's kind of cool because, funny story, one year I decided to do an Ironman, and the way it worked out on the calendar was in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Mm.
It's like, who do I know in Tulsa, Oklahoma?
Mhm. Mhm.
There are cows bigger than, 10 times bigger than me.
Right.
And what was cool is that I actually have a client that is in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Yeah.
And he came out to watch me race.
Hmm.
And he wore, I'm from Brooklyn, and he wore Brooklyn, he was originally from New York.
Yeah.
How he ended up in Tulsa, I said, was it a tornado that put you over there or something? But, and he wore a t-shirt that said Brooklyn. But what's cool is I have clients like in the New York City Marathon that come out and I see, and
Mm.
cheer for me at
I
races.
love that. Yeah.
So a lot of them say we have a deal.
Mhm.
They eat for me and I work out for them. It's a good partnership. But yeah, I would say it turns clients into fans to say, hey, my financial advisor is doing the Boston Marathon. He's doing this.
Yeah,
So you know what? And then all of a sudden, oh, hey, my son's doing it too. And then they make an introduction. So
right.
it lends itself into it.
Mhm.
And you're more than just the Dow and the S&P.
Mhm.
People don't always want to talk about that.
Yeah.
So it
Right.
makes it more relatable.
Yeah, relatable. Yes, that's a theme that we've had throughout AUM is who is the person behind the numbers. And I think your brand does a great job of showing that,
Thank you.
especially bringing in those videos. This was a great conversation. Thank you so much for sharing with us
My
and
pleasure.
answering all my questions.
Thank you. It's my pleasure. And anytime you want to chat, no problem. And if you want to sign up for a race, give me a call.
I'll eat and you train.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Thanks so much.
Awesome. Thank you, Ari. And thank you to everybody who joined us today. Join us next Monday as we're talking with Daniel Metcalf. I'm sure I butchered that. Wow. But we will be talking about how to stay cyber secure when you are actively using social media, and what you can do to protect yourself so that you're not getting hacked or scammed or spoofed. And if you don't know what any of those words mean, we will talk about that on Monday. Um, you know, Through our work and through AUM, we have talked with a lot of advisors, and we have a pretty good idea of what it takes to be successful in marketing. And we have created this quiz, so that you can find out how you are ranking. Are you doing those things that you need to be doing to be successful in your marketing? If you'd like to find out, just scan this QR code and it will take you to our quiz. Otherwise, have a great week, and I will see you